Hello, J Star Wars 360 here. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to give you guys a brief heads up that for a good chunk of it, my face is not in frame. I tried a couple different ways of fixing it, but nothing seemed to be working, so I decided to leave it as is. Because at the end of the day, these videos are more about what I'm saying and less about the presentation. So I apologize for the inconvenience, and I hope that you enjoy me talking about girl trouble.
Hey kids, get ready, because on today's episode of Hey Arnold, we are going to learn absolutely nothing. In this episode of Hey Arnold, it's group project day. It's the classic, you put four desks together, I miss those days, and work on a project in class. Arnold, Gerald, Helga, and Phoebe are assigned to work on a project together. Helga is, of course, ecstatic to spend time with her beloved Arnold. But once assigned in a group, she finds herself picking on him and bullying him as usual. And it really gets on Arnold's nerves. So naturally, of course, he goes to Mr. Simmons and requests to be moved to a different group. That's what would logically happen next if this were real life. But because this is Hey Arnold, he goes to the all-sage of wisdom, the wise, knowing, elderly man, Grandpa Phil. And he tells Arnold that Helga has a crush on him. And naturally, Arnold doesn't believe him. So next day at school, Arnold reaches his boiling point, so when Helga's teasing him, he gets into a fight with her and winds up in detention. After a while, after he's cooled down, Arnold feels bad, calls Helga to apologize, and she throws it back in his face. Then, unbeknownst to Arnold, his grandparents are looking through an old photo album, and we learn that the reason why Arnold's grandpa believes Helga had a crush on him is because Arnold's grandma used to bully Arnold's grandpa when he was little, and it was to cover up repressed feelings just like Helga did. And I'm really torn on this episode because, on one end, it is a really, really mean-spirited episode. Not only do we have Helga just bullying Arnold nonstop, but then we have Arnold bullying her back and getting in detention for it. And what's frustrating is that neither character seems to learn anything. Helga never learns, okay, maybe I should stop bullying Arnold. There's no, improvement or growth there as far as maybe I should be nicer to him, maybe I should express my feelings. And on Arnold's end, he never really learns anything. He just is like, well, this is the way things are. On the flip side, though, it does make for an interesting life lesson, which is something Hey Arnold does a lot, where rather than sugarcoat life and BS about, oh, everything's fine, it's all roses, it'll be like, no, we're gonna get real, we're gonna talk about real issues that kids go through. This episode does it really well. Sometimes you don't get resolution in life. No matter what you do, the bully won't change, and you just have to live with it. It's a pretty glum idea for an episode, but it's interesting. Arnold does a really good job exploring both sides of the issue. Not only do we see Helga and get insight into her and why she bullies Arnold, but we also look at the victim, Arnold, and how he feels. If that's what they're going through, let's just show a slice of life where you don't get the happy ending. I feel it could have been handled better. For starters, it got too mean-spirited, but also I felt it focused on the wrong character. We focus so much on Arnold when Helga's the one that needs to learn a lesson. Because Arnold's not doing anything wrong. I mean, yes, he should learn to control his temper. Yes, it's important to teach kids how to deal with bullies, but at the same time, the character with the conflict, the arc, is Helga. She's the one who needs to learn to control herself. And we get bits of that here and there with her trying to resist, her hilarious monologues, but I never felt like it went far enough. And perhaps if they had focused on her, it would have made the episode better. But then again, we've already seen Helga try to control and suppress her feelings for Arnold in the Love Potion episode, and that was pretty good, and I guess you don't want to repeat yourself. I guess that's one of the pitfalls of doing a non-serialized show, is you can't have your characters grow or develop or change. Like, no matter what happens, no matter what lessons Helga and Arnold may or may not learn, they're always going to be the same characters come next episode, because that's just how cartoons were done at this time. For the most part, I'm sure there were a couple exceptions. My other gripe is something I alluded to earlier, which is Arnold going to his grandpa for advice over Mr. Simmons. For the sake of the episode, I get it. We've established Grandpa Phil as the go-to guy for Arnold as far as getting advice, even though he doesn't always give the best wisdom. But I felt like it was a major suspension of disbelief to buy that Arnold wouldn't talk to Mr. Simmons about it, because Mr. Simmons is a very friendly and understanding teacher, and Arnold has a relatively good track record. So if Arnold went to Mr. Simmons and said, hey, I'd like to be moved to a different group, Helga's picking on me, Mr. Simmons, I feel, if not comply, he would make the two work it out. Or even afterwards, even after Arnold got detention, if he explained the situation to Mr. Simmons, he might believe him. I'm not saying it's not unreasonable to be bullied and not tell your teacher, because again, there are times where you'd prefer talking to your parents or keeping it bottled up. Not all teachers are like Mr. Simmons. They aren't all these friendly, approachable people that you feel comfortable approaching, but in this case, it's like Mr. Simmons is the kind of person you could totally approach about this. And that's all I have to say for this episode. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And next time, we're going to be talking about school dance, which I have a feeling about this one. I have a feeling it's probably going to be a romance episode, possibly. Again, I'm going to take a guess and assume it's going to either involve Arnold trying to get a date for the dance or Helga trying to get for the date for a dance. That's what comes to mind. Well, we'll find out what it is and if it's any good on the next Hey Arnold vlog.